Ukrainian mothers and children are fleeing their homes, some leaving with a single bag or just a few of the basic necessities. Not enough supplies to cover their days-long journey to escape Ukraine, especially when they have kids in tow, which is something Polish moms and volunteers immediately recognized. So they stepped in. At a train station platform in Poland, where thousands of Ukrainians would be arriving, refugees were greeted by a line of empty strollers for any mom who needed one. It's an incredible act of humility and outreach from one mom to another. Joining me now to discuss is Rebecca Coakley. She's the program officer for U.S. Disability Rights at the Ford Foundation. And Rebecca, what was your reaction to seeing that image of the strollers at the train station gifted by the Polish moms to the Ukrainian moms? It really gave me goosebumps all over, and it showed that literally you can do whatever you can. Whatever you can in this particular moment, this is the moment to try to help.
Thank you so much, Zerlina. As the mom of 3 kids, my oldest is 11, my youngest is 4, and frankly, as a mom with a disability who depends on strollers to get her kids around, it was so heartwarming and at the same time, brutally terrifying to think about what these parents are experiencing in this moment.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you about specifically today is understanding what it is like for somebody who has a different ability or who is particularly vulnerable in this particular situation, who can't just get up and get their go bag and run out the house, or put a kid on their back and run out the house. I mean, how hard is it right now for people with children, the elderly, and folks who have disabilities to get out of Ukraine? I mean, this situation isn't easy for anyone, but particularly this community is particularly vulnerable.
You know, recent numbers tell us that there's at least 3 million disabled people in Ukraine. And that's not counting those that are institutionalized in psychiatric facilities or who are incarcerated. We also know that war, like climate change and pandemic, is a mass disabling event. So the notion of being able to just pick up and leave is a complete luxury. On the best day, disabled people are viewed as expendable. And let's be real, this is far from the best day. We are terrified for our people and what it means. We're watching people with disabilities literally being stacked in the back of pickup trucks because there isn't accessible transit that's plentiful enough to help move people from Ukraine to Poland and to other countries. And furthermore, once they get there, really harsh immigration policies like the public charge that exists in other countries in Europe may result in people just being turned around and sent back.
And I think the question is to where. That would be my question at that point. According to MSNBC opinion columnist Liz Plank, one Ukrainian couple was turned away at the border, to your point. They suffer from HIV, they're both HIV positive and suffer from visual impairment and heart disease. They said they have official documentation to exclude them from military responsibility, but said, quote, no one cares. I mean, how common do you think it is for Ukrainians with disabilities to find themselves in the situation that you mentioned, where they actually do successfully get to the border, but they are turned away and they can't cross over?
We're hearing stories left and right about this happening. We're hearing stories about people who are able to evacuate and get to a shelter only to find out that they can't provide the kind of care that they need. And so, do you face life on the street or do you die of bed sores? These are unreasonable choices for people to be having to make at any point in time, let alone during a massive crisis like what we're seeing in Ukraine.
It's such an incredibly hard thing for me to hear, given the fact that, I mean, I think a lot of people at home have aging parents and understand the seriousness of what you just said about folks who are bedridden and elderly in that way. What kind of resources do people with disabilities have in Ukraine? I mean, what did they have before the invasion? Obviously, that is not the case now, but was there any infrastructure at all, to your awareness, to get resources to those communities before the invasion?
There were grassroots disability rights organizations. There were some family-centered organizations, but a lot of services came out of the social service sector. You know, Ukraine still has a lot of orphanages, institutions, deaf schools. And yet we have continued to hear rumors that some of those places were some of the earliest places attacked. because people couldn't leave. And I think that's a whole nother piece of it. If thinking about the deaf community, what does it mean when you don't have ready access in a moment like this to accessible information? You don't exactly see sign language interpreters on every newscast in the Ukraine in this moment. You're not actually making sure that they're available at these shelters. And so it's an issue of access to resources and also an issue of access to equitable information.
Rebecca Cokley, I'm so incredibly proud to have you on for this important conversation, because I wanted to make sure we got this in as we cover every single angle and aspect of this story in Ukraine. Thank you so much for being here today, and please stay safe.
Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.